Welcome to Building My Legacy podcast. This podcast is designed for leaders and entrepreneurs who want to leave a legacy and will provide strategies that focus upon key elements for legacy creation, determining your desired impact and its benefit, increasing your legacy's reach by engaging key stakeholders, planning, prioritizing, and executing. Here's your host, Dr. Lois Sonstegard.
Hello, everybody. I'm so glad to have you with us today on Building My Legacy podcast. I have with us today Megan Gallagher. She is just a delightful person and has an important story for all of us to hear and to really take in and look at the people in our lives that may benefit from her story. She is an author and a TEDx speaker. She is now working with adolescents, teenagers in schools, particularly to get her story out. She has struggled with anxiety from the time she was very young and has developed a process and way of dealing with it and overcoming it. So Megan, that is a beginning. What else would you like to share about yourself? And then if you would just tell us a little bit about your journey.
Yes. First of all, thank you so much for having me on here. I am so so happy and so thrilled to be sharing my story and just in hopes of raising awareness and inspiring people. For me, growing up, I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I just remember all throughout my childhood and young years, I always felt so anxious. It just was this constant feeling of, whether I was at school or at my after school, like taking sewing classes or acting classes or sports, or at home, I always felt so anxious and overwhelmed constantly. And I just, was always worried about the next event and what if this happens? And what if that person says that? And what if I am always sick or tired? Or so I started anticipating all of these worst case scenarios, but none of them ever really came true. So that was truly the inspiration. And also just in my middle school and high school specifically, there wasn't a lot of kind of assemblies or courses or people coming in and just having real conversations with us. There wasn't really a lot of that. So that is what inspired me, noticing the lack of just, older people or experts in their field coming in and saying, do what makes you happy in life, take care of yourself, and you'll be set. And so I was always just like, well, okay, am I the only one feeling anxious or overwhelmed or not good enough or worried about my body image all the time? And so that's what the inspiration came from.
So tell me something. In your biography, you talk about how anxiety became an issue for you by the time you were 3 years old. Were there triggering events in your life that created that, or was it just something that was part of you?
For me, there was never an accident or an incident or an event that triggered years of overthinking everything, but it started it's hereditary. It runs on both sides of my family. So, my sister wasn't really anxious, and then I came along and I was, even in every home movie at 2 years old, I was always crying and just before I could even speak, always worried and crying and wanting my mom. But it just, as I got older, you're in elementary school and people start inviting you to sleepovers and you go on field trips, and, middle school, high school, there's just more, trips and traveling, and you are becoming older. So you're more aware of your body. And when you go through puberty, and I just remember I hit freshman year of high school, and it just also a big trigger for me actually was change. And so the change from, going from middle school to high school, where it's 500 new people coming in, and some of my friends were going to a different high school, just a lot of change, a lot of unknown, and having to get ready for college, and just what am I doing with my life? Who am I? And all of this just stress and overwhelm. So I truly felt I remember my freshman year of high school, I felt my first real panic attack where I was old enough to really feel, whoa, oh my gosh, this is so scary. The room is spinning. I'm feeling hot and flushed. And I really that awful, you want to just die feeling. You just feel so just gross and your heart rate is so fast. And I remember that so vividly. And then that one panic attack at 14 years old really was just the first thing of going on this whole journey of seeing therapists and trying meditation and going on just how do I become my best self?
Right. So are there things that you discovered are symptoms that you begin to experience that are part of this panic attack? Because for me, managing anxiety and panic attacks is knowing when's it coming on, so you interrupt right before it possesses you. So how did you learn just those basics of how does it begin and what are those symptoms?
So for me, I would notice that anytime a situation came up where, hey, oh my gosh, this family invited you to go on a vacation with them, or something where I couldn't predict the outcome, I'm about to go on a flight or I'm about to go to school, I would always think, oh my gosh, I'm going to just all of these really just negative thoughts. What if I pass out in front of everyone? What if I throw up in front, these crazy negative thoughts? But it was all about situations that I couldn't control the outcome and I didn't know what was going to happen. I would start thinking, oh my gosh, I got invited to this sleepover, or I have to go on this flight or this long car ride, or I have this test in my math class. I would start assuming all of these just negative thoughts. And I had to really just kind of pull myself out of it and realize that, okay, well, this is anxiety because, most situations are neutral, like taking a math test or going on a flight or going on a trip or applying for jobs, doing an interview. Most of those things are neutral, but we can choose if we want to think positively or negatively before it happens. So my anxiety was definitely anticipatory. It was always before something would happen. And I just remember in high school feeling so awful all the time, like a constant pit in my stomach. In every single class, all 7 classes, I just felt so like I couldn't even kind of be my best self because I had to just keep a poker face and focus on, whoa, okay, my heart rate just went up. Am I having a stroke? What's going on? So for me to have to focus on myself, and it affected my grades and my GPA, and it affected a lot of stuff, but I wouldn't change it for the world because I think I went through it for a reason, and now I'm on the other side and I'm a healthy, happy adult who runs her own business and successful, and I'm just happy. And I really didn't think that I would get to this point in my life where I'm just so confident and happy, and I'm so in control of my thoughts and my emotions.
So part of what I'm hearing you say, Megan, is that for you, you took having anxiety and that panic that came with that, and you looked at, okay, how do I use this so it drives my life in a different way? So you took what was a really big, huge negative, right?
Mm-hmm.
And began to look at, how do I use it effectively? So tell me about that discovery, because that's a huge shift.
Yeah. So I think a lot of my mindset, and I really think that mindset is everything through whatever challenge you're going through, whether it is mental health or it's just with family or relationships or finance, whatever challenge or obstacle that you're facing or you want to overcome, I think mindset is about maybe 95% of it. It's just how you view it and how you just kind of, turn it into a positive thing. And you're like, oh my gosh, you know what? Actually, I'm seeing the silver lining and this is teaching me something and I'm going to grow from this. And I think having that outlook, my parents kind of ingrained that in me. So, and also, I mean, my parents are so smart and they knew, they were so aware and just very observant parents, and they really cared about me. So they were like, oh my gosh, at 3 years old, they already knew that I had anxiety because they were so aware. And they were like, okay, Megan is the more sensitive child. So we are going to be aware of that. And maybe we'll put her through therapy when the time comes. But they always wanted to take action, and we're going to get through this as a family, and you're going to be amazing. Anxiety, it's not that big of a deal. A lot of people have it. But yours is kind of more hereditary. So you're just going to have to work at it consistently. But I owe it to my parents. They just instilled this mindset in me of just don't give up. You are stronger than your thoughts, and you can do anything you want in life. And just my own view of my own life, I really feel like things do happen for a reason, and just to enjoy life and to not get so in your own head and start thinking all these negative thoughts, because that really doesn't do anything, and it actually feels better to think more positively. So I like to say I turned my pain into my purpose, and just now am the role model that I wish was coming into schools when I was in high school and middle school, and just, being like an Oprah Winfrey, or just like a warm, bubbly, positive person who is not talking about, not that there's anything wrong with it, but who's not just talking about, get a good GPA, here's how to prep for SATs, but it's like, what is about life? Like, follow your passions. And so it's just a mixture of a lot of things.
So part of what I'm hearing you say with that is there's an element of knowing what your purpose is in life, right? Mm-hmm. So how did you come to that? Because purpose also requires an element of reflection, I think. So how did you come to that and begin to find who you were?
Well, one, it's actually funny you say that, because when I was going through all of my struggles with anxiety, and a lot of teenagers I know go through the anxiety and body image and the hormones and the peer pressure, and it's an overwhelming time for a lot of people. But I also, I talked about it openly with my family, but with my friends, I was so afraid of just being judged, or them, thinking, oh, this is weird. And it was, I think anything mental health, it's so personal. So I think a lot of people, can feel a stigma or afraid to talk about it openly, or just, some people, I don't know. But I always was, I loved any friend group I had throughout elementary school, middle school, high school. I always loved giving advice. And I noticed that. And I would be, oh my gosh, this boy's not texting you back. Okay, like, come sit down with Megan and I will give you advice for an hour about any topic. I just loved it, and it came so naturally to me. And I also, acting was a huge creative outlet for me. From 4th grade to the end of high school, I did all drama acting classes in the school plays and improv, and I would forget about my stresses. I would walk on the stage or go into drama class, and I just forgot about why I was anxious or what I was so concerned about. And it was such a lifesaver, and it gave me so much confidence in myself. And so, yeah, I think I always knew that I loved being on stage and performing and speaking. But I also loved giving advice and just being a positive influence for other people.
That requires a certain amount of introspection. You can't really give advice if you aren't able to see into people, see what they really need. And perhaps because of the pain that you felt within yourself, you could see it, you could feel it, and then speak to people about that. You talk, Megan, about a process that you went through and you go through daily to help yourself deal with anxiety and to stay ahead of it. Would you mind sharing with our audience what that is and how you go about doing that?
Yes. So I love having my morning and nighttime routines. I am yes, morning and nighttime, sometimes middle of the day even. I love having my routines because I think it's so powerful. You don't have to, be an anxious person to have routines. I think when you just start your day with journaling or writing down your thoughts or going on a walk or a run or exercising and eating a healthy meal and just doing kind of taking a time for yourself and just checking in with before you go to work or go to school or you go take care of your children or you go drive them to school, having a moment for yourself, because I'm all about improving your life and how can I always improve, because I really am just kind of obsessed with reaching my potential as a speaker, as a person, as a woman. So it's like, how can I improve every single day? Maybe that's meditating for 5 more minutes or eating a healthier meal, going to bed earlier. And I love an hour before I go to bed, I turn off the cell phone, the emails, the everything. And I just either read a book or I'll meditate or I'll use essential oils or I'll take an Epsom salt bath. And I'm really just big on, you come first, and you always feel better when you fill up your cup before you fill up other people's cup. And I think it's just the best thing in life when you get to know yourself and you get in touch with what makes me happy. And you take the time to, maybe it's praying or meditating or whatever you personally believe in. Just take more time for that throughout your whole entire life. And my mom actually introduced journaling to me when I was 6 years old. And but every day before, I think that was 3rd grade or 4th grade, every day before school, she would have me write down, okay, so yesterday you said your arm was hurting and today you're saying your stomach is hurting. So what is going on? And I just, she always wanted me to take my thoughts out of my head and to realize that I have the power over them and they should not control my day or my life, or just, we create our thoughts. And she would always tell me, don't you want to feel good? Because you deserve to feel good. And your thoughts will create a emotional response. Anything you think about, whether it's about what's going to happen at Christmas this year or with my business, finances, just anything, whether it's business, personal, we get to focus on what we want to think and what we want the outcome to be, which always makes me feel less anxious.
So morning routine, what does your morning routine look like? You wake up, what do you do? Do your feet hit the floor, or do you have something you do even before you get out of bed?
Oh my gosh. So I could pull out a scroll. I have about like 40 things, but okay. I love, right when I wake up, I just put one hand on my heart and one hand on my stomach. And I do really deep breath work where it's kind of, very deep belly breathing for about 10 to 20 minutes. And that for me is, I'm just grounding myself in how I'm feeling before I, take business calls or go to meetings or work with my team of people. How do I ground myself, check in with myself? How am I feeling today? What do I need? What do I want to accomplish? And then I like to drink celery juice, and I'm not a caffeine person, so I love to drink, fresh squeezed juice, water with lemon, healthy breakfast. And I also love to make lists, like just lists of the things that I have to do every day. I'm a big writing visual person. So I write down everything I have to accomplish and want to accomplish today. And I also love binaural beats and, going on YouTube and just typing in morning meditation or guided meditation for positivity. There are so many for manifesting, for being happy. There's a ton. And just taking, 5 to 30 minutes, however long you have. And it will always make you feel better. I also love to squeeze in, if I have time. I do like exercising before I start my day. So whether that's stretching for 20 minutes or going on a run or a walk or just doing, squats for 20 minutes, just whatever I can, just starting the day off on a good foot. And for me, at this age, I know what's going to make me feel better versus I know what's going to trigger my anxiety. So for me, I don't jump on my phone right when I wake up because that's going to make me feel anxious and like I didn't take enough time for myself. So I like to exercise and stay hydrated and eat a healthy meal and write things down of what I want to do today and what I need to do. And then I check my phone about an hour later.
Got it. I think part of what makes us anxious, at least when I think about myself, is fear, right? Fear
Yes.
of repercussions, fear of failure, fear of what people are going to say. So part of not checking your phone all the time is, what if I missed an important message or call that I needed to do something about? So how do you handle those kinds of, they're real, but how do you handle those kinds of anxieties?
Well, for me, I like to write down exactly, what times are my business phone calls, my business Skype meetings, exactly what time throughout the day, 10 a.m., 1 p.m., 3 p.m. Also, I don't book anything past 6 p.m. because to me, that's kind of like, it's Megan time. The day is over. I did all the work that I could do. So I kind of have a time range, and I know everyone has, their own family and tasks and things that they have to get done. So if if throughout the day, if none of my phone calls are at the times where I have it written down and I know what I'm doing, then I'll turn off my phone for 5 minutes in airplane mode and just reset and just take some time to do some deep breathing because I know I'm not expecting anything. Also taking quick breaks to go get up, take a walk, go get a healthy meal at a restaurant. Just really being smart with managing your time and writing down what time are you expecting certain things, or you have to go certain places, do errands, go meet with people. And then when the times that you aren't, to really dedicate it towards taking care of yourself, doing some self-care, some quick meditation, just anything. Yeah.
So right now for you, what brings you the biggest joy in your life?
What brings me the biggest joy is helping other people and making other people feel good. I really feel like that is what I was put on earth to do, is to help other people, especially teenagers, and just to be a light in this world, because my whole life I've always loved giving to other people and just making people feel. I never wanted people to feel the way that I felt when I was at my worst and struggling, which in hindsight, looking back, it wasn't even that bad compared to what some other people have it. But the biggest joy ever is when I get messages from the teenagers or the parents or the teachers or the counselors of wherever I spoke, and they message me saying, so-and-so just reached out to us and they want to say that your talk just really amped them up and got them excited for their life, or just something, just helping other people.
So we don't have much time left. you have been just wonderful. But I have a question for you, because I think there are people who are going to be listening. Maybe there's a teen, and let's say you've just walked into a room and you've met this person, and they are so anxious and they're moving into just not being able to focus and to do what they need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Where would you begin? What would you say to them?
I would say, one, you are not alone with how you are feeling. And I know what it's like to be a teenager and to feel like it's embarrassing to talk to your parents, or you don't know where to go, or is this even real? Is this depression? Is it anxiety? Am I making this up in my head? Is this how every teenage, I get that. And I used to do that to myself all day long before I sat my parents down and told them how I was feeling, and that I think I need extra help. And I feel I feel like I'm dying every day. I'm having these episodes, but they were panic attacks. And I would also just say, it takes work to feel better. So if you feel like, you're having body image issues or low self-esteem, anxiety, chronic panic attacks, negative thoughts, you have to take the time every day to journal or to say positive affirmations and to make changes in your life and to see what areas of your life can you improve in. Is it what you're eating or who you are hanging out with? Or are you happy at your work? Are you following your passions? Are you in a healthy relationship? Just taking inventory and checking in with yourself mentally, emotionally is the most powerful thing I think anyone can do, but especially teenagers, of how am I feeling today and what is causing my anxiety?
Thank you. Megan, thank you so much. You have been such a delight, and I know you're going to reach somebody's life of people who are listening. And I have a question for you. If you want to connect with you or to get some information about your meditation process or whatever, can we connect them with you? Is that okay for us to do?
Yes, of course. The more the merrier. I have my website, which is my name, Megan, MEGANW, and then Gallagher, GALLAGHER.com. And that has my TEDx talk, my books, my blogs, my contact information, my TV, it has every single thing.
Okay, super. We would love to connect. And thank you so much. This is such an important topic, not only for teenagers, but for everybody. There's so many people who are dealing with anxiety. So thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for listening to us again today. And we can't wait to connect you with Megan. So please let us know, email us, and we will make those connections for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Megan. You are just so delightful. And anything I can do to help you, I'd be delighted to do that. But I will pass this on to my friend, my daughter, whose friend is the anchor, and see if she can use any parts of this. And then I'm going to see if I can find the guy at the Lloyd's of London, because I think, so here's the number one issue that businesses deal with. I do consulting to corporations and executive coaching. But right now we know that 80% of our employees in the workplace are overwhelmed.
Right.
What on earth are we doing? And we don't have good mechanisms to help people deal with that other than quit and move on. And so I think that there's people who really need to hear how to do this and what to do in your story. Millennials are the people who are having the greatest difficulty relating. And so I just really appreciate your story, because I think you will reach those that are close to your age group who maybe still don't dare share or talk about what they're feeling because they're not supposed to, right?
Yeah. It has such a big place in my heart because it's like I was that girl, in high school who constantly, I was so frustrated, my grades are bad and everything just felt, it's all the end of the world if I don't get into this college, but I'm having anxiety because I can't focus, I can't do well. And it was so frustrating. So I really have so much empathy for anyone who feels constantly overwhelmed or stressed, or they are not managing their time well and they're not taking care of themselves and they're not having that good balance of, work life, but also self-care and, just taking care of yourself.
Right. Megan, have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me on. That was truly, I am so grateful and really excited.
You are so welcome.
You've been listening to Building My Legacy podcast with Dr. Lois Sonstegard. To book your appointment with Dr. Sonstegard, visit www.buildtomorrow.com.